you.
Welcome to another episode of TheWave. My name is Adam.
My name's Nick. Welcome to another episode of TheWave, the weekly news and chat show from the world famous Bottom of the Stream podcast. I liked when you said hello that you added an N in there.
Did I?
Yeah. At the start.
Hello.
Yeah.
Did I?
Yeah, listen back.
I
think
always
you'll hear
do.
it. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Wonderful.
Yeah?
Yeah, I've had a bit of a cold, so if I sound a bit
You do sound a bit
nasally,
nasally.
that's why.
Good.
But
better now? Not good. Not good that you've had a
Thanks.
cold. Good that you've explained.
Everyone in my
that.
house has had it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I feel fine. It just sounds
Sexy.
bit
Got your sexy voice on.
throaty.
Barry White. Oh, that's not good.
I know someone with that name. That actual
What,
name.
Barry White?
Yeah.
Do you really?
Yeah.
That's cool. Are they older than Barry White?
No.
Oh, that's weird as well
I
then.
think they're younger than me.
And they're called Barry? No. Well,
Yeah. We were having a discussion
Shout
the
out to
other
Barry
day.
White.
We were having a discussion the other day about like some names you just can't imagine
babies
being
having.
babies.
Is it like, wasn't it Gary that there's not been a Gary since 1992
I
or
think
something
that's a
stupid?
false rumour. Like, can't
Nobody's
going to
call their baby Gary. Are they?
It's like there's no baby Collins, but there must be. Must have been.
The only times it happen is if these people that have the same name that go through generations.
Yeah.
So you have like Chris Jr. and Junior and Junior and Junior.
Yeah.
That might have happened, I guess.
Possibly.
You couldn't in good conscience call your baby Gary. No offense to any Garys out there.
Oh, what's wrong with Gary?
You just can't imagine a baby Gary.
I think. See. Yeah, I think because Gary was quite common.
Yeah. When we were at school, everybody was called Gary. Literally everyone.
But
it just died away.
there's definitely no Garys like in either of my kids' classes at school.
No. I shouldn't imagine there is.
Because it'd be weird to have a 40-year-old in the class at school.
Who's not the teacher.
Yeah. But, yeah.
I love how we just go off on a tangent on the starts of these episodes. Just somehow we're just getting to really random conversations
Gary.
at the start. Gary?
I'm going to say it northernly. I don't know why.
I've got a question for you, Nick.
Cool.
Shall we start?
Yeah, I thought we had already.
No, I mean start as in
Okay.
the conversation proper. This one has been submitted by Ross Cook,
I didn't even know we were taking submissions
We're not,
for this, but that's fine.
It's fine.
It's encouraged.
Yeah, he messaged me and he was like, I need you to ask this question to Nick. So, are you ready?
Yes.
You got your listening ears on.
Always.
So, unfortunately for you, you're going to be now stuck in a time loop.
Okay.
For 100 years, you're going to repeat the same day over and over again.
Okay.
You innately know how many days you've got left.
Okay.
But to make this a little bit easier for you...
So I've got like 3,500 days of this.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you're going to live the same day over and over again. But to make it a bit easy for you, I've got 5 options of something that you can have
Okay.
or an ability that you can have
Okay.
during this time.
Nice.
So the first
Am
option...
I just stuck it? I have a question first.
Go on.
Have I got the ability to break out of this, or have I just got to batten down?
You've got to
and
batten
ride it
down
out?
and you're going to ride it out for 100 years.
Okay, fine.
Yeah?
Yep.
So your first option you can take with you on this journey is a notebook with infinite pages.
Right.
It doesn't change size and it travels with you wherever you go.
Okay.
Yeah?
So I can, make notes on my efforts.
Yeah.
So far.
Yeah.
Might be useful because if I'm trying to convince
trying to break
someone
out
of
of it, or-
something,
yeah.
I can
Might
say,
be
look,
useful.
you wrote this. This is your writing. You wrote this yesterday. Remind you of this conversation, etc.
Yeah.
Okay. Possibility.
A button that will allow you to skip an unknown number of days.
Right.
So it could be 100, could be 300, could be
Yeah.
3,000. Infinite money for the day that you're repeating. The money stays in the loop when you're done.
Okay.
Yeah?
Would money help? I mean, you could just have a laugh with it.
Yeah? You could just do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Another person to share the loop with you.
Okay.
Or number 5.
Do you get to choose who it is?
Yep.
Okay.
Or number 5, the powers of Superman. These also stay in the loop when done.
I don't know if that's useful. It would be fun.
Yeah.
It's like, what am I doing? Am I just
You
gonna
cannot
have...
break out of this loop.
Yeah.
So
am I
you've just got to
here
roll
to have
with it.
fun?
What else are you going to do?
Yeah.
What are you choosing?
Because it's 100 years.
That's 100 years.
So if I come back to it after the 100 years, everyone I know is going to be dead.
Yep.
and I'll just return as my 42-year-old self.
I guess so, yeah.
Man. I mean, I'm tempted by the button because you've got nothing to lose, have you?
No, but also it might only be one day.
It might.
And then you've got none of these other things.
Yeah.
I scribbled the button out straight away.
No, I think there's one way of looking at it where you just go, I've got nothing to lose. I'll just press the button, and if it knocks off a year,
yeah,
it's not
You've
bad.
Still got 99 years.
Yeah, I know. I know.
I don't think you're appreciating how long this is.
But
immediately, I knocked off the notebook and the button.
the notebooks. If you're not going to break out, the notebook's not really useful.
Agreed.
And money, you could just party.
Yeah, you could do whatever you wanted. It stays at the end of that day. You've got to start again.
You could
anyway.
donate it to charity, but then you could just have 100-year-long party and you would go mad.
Yeah.
I think after a month that might get boring.
Yeah, probably.
I think it's another person or it's Superman's powers.
Could you, in good conscience, put another person through this?
That's the thing.
Yeah. Whether you want to be with this person or not. There's also a chance within 100 years doing the same day over and over again that you're going to grow to hate this person.
Exactly. The only advantage the main advantage I can see of having someone else in there with you is that you've then also got a shared experience.
Yeah.
To which, when it ends after 100 years, you have someone at least you can.
You'll know someone when you get out.
The thing is that you've got to think about this, not just as the fact you're getting through this time loop, but you're going to come out of the end of it completely alone.
Yeah.
And have to.
But are you going to want to come out of it with somebody
forge
that you
a new
spent the
life.
last 100 years with?
Yes, quite possibly. So, I mean, Superman powers. That would be fun, wouldn't it?
I think it's got to be that, personally. Because
it feels like it might be a bit short-termism.
Yeah. But you could fly to the other side of the world and do a day in
Well, this is
Spain,
it. You could do the same day all around the world.
Yeah. So that would sort you out for a few days.
Because
you could.
Your money wouldn't really help you with that because you could get on a plane, but you just spend it on a plane.
Yeah, by the time you
Whereas
got
if
there,
I was Superman, I could fly to Australia
in a split second.
Yeah, and then have a day on the beach.
Yeah, and you could also be Superman. You could go around helping people for the day. Anywhere you needed, you can go. I think it has to be that personally.
I think it's Superman, then another person.
Yeah, I agree. But I just don't know if I could put somebody else through that.
Yeah. Yeah, because you're actively. It depends.
You have no choice.
You actively going, I want that person, or is it just here's another person to experience with you? If you're actively having to choose to put someone else in that position, then that's pretty horrible.
Yeah, and you've got to pick through all the people that you know.
Yeah, I might just pick a stranger. You're gonna get to know them, aren't you?
True. Or just pick somebody you hate and you're going in a time loop for 100 years.
I don't hate anyone.
No, I can't imagine you do. You're a nice guy.
I think it's Superman.
It's got to be Superman powers, isn't it? And then at least you can have some fun.
Yeah, and maybe do some good.
Do some good for the world until the end of the day.
What's the point? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, Superman.
Happy with that? It's a good question, though, isn't it?
It's very good.
I liked it.
Yeah, very good.
Following up on last week's question.
Yeah, last week's question was very interesting.
Yeah.
Which was basically if you had a furious elephant and a time travel machine, at what point in history would you deposit said furious elephant?
Yes.
Well, the very same Ross Cook put this into ChatGPT.
Yeah, he did indeed.
And asked it to write a movie outline.
Yeah, he asked it to write a 5-act movie.
Because we said we thought it'd make a good movie.
Yeah.
My God.
It did.
Sounds great. I want to watch this movie.
Same. I almost might write it. Do you want me to read through what it said?
Yeah, sure.
So Act 1 is an introduction to the furious elephant. So in a bustling city, chaos ensues as a furious elephant mysteriously appears, causing destruction and confusion. Dr. Emma Hartley, a brilliant scientist specialising in temporal physics, becomes intrigued by the situation. She assembles an unlikely team, including a historian, an animal behaviourist, and a retired circus trainer to investigate the elephant's origins and motivations.
Yeah.
Great start.
Brilliant. This is all in our Discord, by the way.
Yeah, it is.
There's a reason to join our Discord.
Definitely come and join the Discord. The Discord link will be in the show notes. Then we move on to Act 2, Unravelling the Mystery. The team discovers that the elephant comes from a dystopian future where it endured cruel experiments, granting it extraordinary abilities and a burning desire for revenge. With Emma's time travel technology, they journey through different historical eras, following the elephant's trail of destruction. They realise that these alterations could rewrite history and lead to a catastrophic future. So this is following... This film isn't following the elephant, it's following the people following the elephant. Yeah. Everything we came up with, we were following this elephant at these times. Act 3 is the race against time. To prevent further chaos, the team must ensure that pivotal moments in history unfold as they should. They find themselves in ancient battles and historic revolutions. Along the way, they bond with the furious elephant, understanding its tragic history and its quest for redemption.
This is like the Bill and Ted Excellent Adventure portion of this movie.
Keep time as it was. Act 4 is redemption and resolution. Returning to the present, the team confronts the villain responsible for the elephant's time travel ordeal. A climatic battle ensues with the elephant's unique abilities aiding in the fight. The team's historian sacrifices himself to preserve the timeline. With the villain defeated, the furious elephant decides to return to its time, free from the burden of revenge. Yeah. And then Act 5 is the epilogue. The team returns to their time, forever changed by their adventures. They continue their work to protect history's integrity and carry the lessons they learned, becoming a legacy of unlikely heroes.
Yeah, it's like Time Police.
Yeah. It's amazing what AI can come up with, isn't it? AI has just written a better film than most of the films we do on this show.
Yeah.
I think we should cast it and write it. And
yeah, we can have a pop. Why
Some
not?
of the films we watch get made. Apocalypse Please got made. All we need to do is get an elephant.
Yeah. There's been some ideas in the Discord about how this would happen. Again.
Animated elephant.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could do it. It's great. It's a great idea. I thought it was brilliant. Anyway, should we move on to this week's news?
Sure. Let's do, I suppose, what we're here for.
Yeah.
Some of the news
That's
of the week.
mumbo jumbo episode, part of the episode completed.
That is all valuable chat.
It is
content.
Indeed. People love it.
No mumbo jumbo here.
Oh, before we start the news,
Which can also be the name of the elephant, by the way. So just mumbo.
Before we start the news, we should point out that we've all, again forgotten to do a real talk.
It'll be back next week.
We'll be back next week.
Yeah.
We've put reminders in. We're just getting old and our brains are not working properly.
Guess what?
What?
The Wall Street Journal reported this week, according to an insider, that Netflix is planning another price rise.
This is mad.
The streaming giant is looking to increase the cost of its ad-free service once the SAG-AFTRA strike comes to an end. The current cost for standard membership, i.e. the cheapest tier without ads in the US, is $15.49.
Wow.
I can see that. I can see them going to $19.99.
There's a point where they price themselves out, surely.
Is there?
There must be.
Where is it?
Can't be far away from there, I wouldn't have thought.
It's sort of, interestingly, Netflix, so their previous price rises, is in terms of the time between them, suggests that we are not far off. October 2017, January 2019.
About a year and 2 months.
October 2020, January 2022.
Oh, okay. So there's a rhythm going.
Hmm.
Now we're in October 23.
Correct.
Okay.
So, yeah. Let's see what happens there.
I wonder if somebody's just figured those dates out and gone, oh, we're overdue one. Let's write a news article on it.
Possibly. I wonder, new year, new price. Possibly.
Maybe.
I guess, yeah. I guess it's not great publicity to say, right, we're going to do that while all the actors are still on strike.
They can't. They literally can't.
But if they agree a deal and they go, well, we've got to put our prices up because we've got to pay these guys more.
It's the actors' fault.
It's
we can blame
fault.
the actors.
Yeah.
It's not all this money we're wasting on game studios. It's the actors.
Exactly. Yeah. Absolute cynic you are.
Not me. I mean, we have followed Netflix news for the last 4 years. I don't know what's made me a cynic.
So, interestingly, connected to that a survey, quite an in-depth survey, has been done over the last few months by Whip Media.
Whip.
It's their 2023 streaming satisfaction report.
Okay.
And maybe or maybe not linked to exactly what we've just discussed. Netflix is in 6th place overall.
6?
Yeah. It does rate higher in some of the categories, but its overall rating of customer satisfaction in the league table of streaming services is 6th.
Wow.
Which is down from 4th last year.
Okay, so they've dropped 2 spots.
And 2nd the year before.
So they're dropping 2 every year.
Correct.
Wow.
Yeah. HBO Max was number 1 for the 2nd year in a row.
Interesting.
Which is not a service we have over here.
No.
It still topped the charts, but its rating still fell by 6%.
HBO Max is did?
Yes.
Okay.
Hulu came in 2nd, and Disney Plus was 3rd.
Wow, that's interesting.
On the podium. But, interesting, Netflix did top one of the metrics, and that was which streaming service would you keep if you could only keep one?
And Netflix won that?
Yeah.
Now that is interesting, isn't it? Because
the most indispensable.
People find it the 6th best service, but
Yeah.
they would keep it right over the other 5.
Yeah. But
that's really interesting.
By a much thinner margin than previously, because it won it last year as well. 27% picked it as their indispensable one, as opposed to 41% last year.
If we didn't have this podcast and we didn't have to have Netflix, would you keep it above all the others? Would it be your number 1? Is it indispensable to you?
In my house,
yeah,
there's really not much between Netflix and Disney Plus, but I've got two
children,
little people in my house.
Yeah, and a Disney obsessed wife.
And I think they're pretty much. I mean, we don't watch TV.
No,
barely ever watch TV. Like maybe the odd sporting event.
Yeah.
But even if I'm watching stuff on terrestrial TV, it's on their catch-up services.
Same. The only terrestrial TV show I watch is Taskmaster, and I watch that whenever I can.
Yeah.
I don't watch it 9 o'clock on a Thursday night.
Yeah, exactly.
Mainly because you're still here, but
yeah.
But I think if I could only have one, it would be Netflix.
Me personally,
you personally.
Yeah, I same.
Yeah,
I think I'd do the same.
I definitely watch more on Netflix than I watch on anything else. That's really interesting.
Yeah, the survey overall found that satisfaction amongst all the top tier streaming platforms is on the decline, i.e. they all had a lower rating than last year in terms of the percentage of satisfaction. Apart from one.
All right.
One streaming service increased its satisfaction rating.
Can I have a guess?
Sure.
Apple TV.
Correct.
Because they've been on fire this year.
And they're increasing content, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think that makes sense. Yeah, 5% increase.
Yeah, I'm not surprised by that. They've produced some quality TV this year.
Yeah, the lowest ranked streaming services was a tie between Peacock and Prime Video.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me either. I'm not surprised by that. Amazon's would be my last one that I'd go to, Prime Video. I genuinely don't. If I can't find anything on Netflix, I usually don't bother watching anything.
Yeah.
Or Disney Plus or whatever. But I'd never even look for Amazon.
I won't sit and... I've watched a couple of stuff on there because I know specifically that movie's on there.
If I know I want to watch a movie
and
it's on
I
Amazon.
wonder what... Can I watch that movie? Oh, look, it's on Amazon. That's where I'll watch it. But I don't...
You don't actively go and browse through Amazon?
No, I've never opened it to...
Just have a browse,
through it.
Same as I do on Netflix and I do on Disney Plus, but I don't on Amazon ever.
Yeah, that's interesting.
That is interesting.
Paramount Plus got a high rating in terms of the quality and variety of movies.
Okay.
Available on it.
I've just had a new mobile phone this week and I got offered Paramount Plus as part of my contract, but I turned it down because it made my contract more expensive than just buying Paramount Plus would have.
What?
I know. It's like, no, I'm all right, thank you.
Apple TV and Peacock with the lowest rated, but saw gains in categories. You can prove anything with numbers, can't you?
Yeah, you really can.
But yeah, quite interesting some of those results.
Definitely.
Would you? So you've said which one you're likely to keep. Which one are you more satisfied with, or of your streaming services?
It's difficult to say because we do this show, and so we tend to skew our opinion on Netflix a little bit. Because I study Netflix more than I study any of the others, I guess. Yeah, probably Netflix. It probably is. Like I said, I don't watch a lot on Disney Plus. It's not really for me, Disney Plus.
Of the ones that I've got, Netflix is the. Is it the easiest to navigate, or is it because I'm most used to it? I'm not sure, but I find Disney's still really clunky.
Disney's is horrible to navigate.
If you're in an episode and you try to then get back to the list of episodes in the season, or even back, it's
really horrible
clunky
to browse as well because there's no writing; it's just the posters.
Yeah.
So if you don't recognise the poster, you don't know what it is, and so I find Disney Plus probably the worst to navigate.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Netflix. And I probably am skewed by doing this podcast, but...
Okay, interesting.
Next,
do you want to buy a house?
I'd love to.
Yeah, well, you better get in quick because a couple of weeks ago, the home from Sex Education,
Oh, right, okay.
Otis and his mum live, went onto the market, and there's already been at least one offer meeting the asking price for the house.
Right.
£1.5 million.
Wow. How does a single mother sex therapist afford a house like that?
It's a former salmon fishing lodge overlooking the River Wye. You know, it's the cool red house that
it is beautiful.
Sex Education.
It looks a lot nicer in these pictures than they make it look in that show. That's for sure.
£1.5 million cash offer
Wow.
has been made by someone who is yet to visit the property.
Somebody who wants to turn it into an Airbnb is what that is.
Quite possibly.
100% that is.
The current owner bought the property in 2002.
Okay.
So yeah, 20 years later, he's selling up.
Well, he's capitalising on the fame of the house it's got.
Oh,
and just taking a cash offer above its value.
Amazing that it is up for sale. The week
that the show finishes.
The final season of the show that has a lot of shots of this house as
good on him as
Netflix.
well. Why would you not? Your house suddenly became famous. You would sell it.
Interestingly, none of the I don't know if it is interestingly because it's fairly common practice. None of the internal shots in the show are actually from this house.
Right. Okay.
So it is just
the exterior
that they use. There was a couple of scenes in the garden, wasn't there?
Yeah, there were on this balcony that overlooks the river. Going up the drive, they always walk up the big steep path to get out as well, don't they? So, that is interesting. 1.5 million.
Check it out.
Check it out. You'll be able to stay in it in a Airbnb soon.
Yeah, I bet.
Next.
The next bit of news is, you might think initially not particularly interesting or noteworthy, but there's more to it than meets the eye.
Okay.
I'm not talking about Transformers. I'm talking about Power Rangers. And the news this week that Netflix will not be renewing Power Rangers Cosmic Fury for a second season. If you remember, a few months ago, there was quite a big deal made out of Power Rangers coming to Netflix.
Yeah, there was. Big deal.
And they put together the documentary / sort of
reunion
back, didn't they? Reunion show. And Netflix essentially made this Cosmic Fury series, which is apparently the third series of this
timeline.
Yeah.
Canon.
Incarnation of Power Rangers. Well, it won't be returning, and there is also news that Power Rangers may not be returning to Netflix at all because Hasbro, who we've also talked about in the past few weeks and months, of expanding their film, TV licenses and division, have acquired Power Rangers, want to reboot it themselves, and Entertainment One and Lionsgate may get hold of this instead.
Oh, wow, okay.
So it seems like Netflix did get Power Rangers, but only to finish off this show.
That's been going for however many years.
Yeah.
That's really interesting, isn't it?
In a sort of short-term deal, if you will. And essentially, it's up for grabs.
Right.
And Hasbro have sort of hinted that they want to start again a new continuity. So Power Rangers, this is the last season of the sort of 30-year continuity of Power Rangers. If you're into that sort of thing.
Then we reboot and start again.
Yeah, at some location to be determined in terms of where it will actually air.
Okay.
So
sad day for Power Rangers fans then who have watched it for 30 years, but also you might get
it's not going away.
Something new coming.
But you may not see it on Netflix.
Hmm.
So I feel it's really interesting that Netflix came in for a short term. Yeah, we'll help. We'll give that last season a home,
one last hurrah.
Yeah,
and then it can move on to pastures new,
or come back with Netflix.
Yeah, you never know. Might come back with them. Yeah. Next,
another interesting bit of Netflix news is you can go now and find the trailer for a lesser spotted Julia Roberts movie.
Okay,
we've mentioned this movie before. It's called Leave the World Behind. It's notable because she is back. She is starring in this movie. It's been a few years since she has sort of been in a major movie, and it's a Netflix movie.
Yeah,
it's an apocalyptic thriller, no less. Julia Roberts, Mahershala Ali, and Ethan Hawke headline this one. And essentially, this movie tells the tale of a huge cyber attack taking a horrifying toll on the world.
It sounds really good. I watched this trailer the other day.
Yeah.
It does sound really good.
Also announces that it makes its world premiere on October the 25th at AFI Fest. It's the opening night picture, which will have a red carpet gala at the Chinese Theatre in Hollywood. It will then premiere in selected theatres on November the 22nd and begin streaming on Netflix December the 8th.
It's this year's Red Notice, Don't Look Up, that sort of big end of the year release, isn't it?
Sure. Along with it's this and Rebel Moon.
Yeah.
This was written and directed by Sam Esmail, who's behind Mr. Robot.
Yeah, great show.
Based on a novel by Ruman Alam. So this synopsis is: Scott and his daughter Ruth arrive at a luxurious home rented for the weekend by a family and their kids. What starts with a blackout in New York City soon spreads to a collapsing world in unexpected ways.
Wow.
It's a decent trailer. I've watched the trailer as well.
Yeah, it looks all right. And when we was in a blackout in New York City.
Yeah, I do. It was hot.
It was
so
really hot.
It was like July.
Yeah.
And it was maybe the hottest I've ever been.
Stayed in a hostel, didn't we? And we were in bunk beds with two other Canadian guys in the smallest room in the world and no air conditioning.
Yeah.
We had to climb up the outside fire escape of the building to get up to like the 13th floor.
Yeah, because
none of the lifts were
elevators,
working and there's no staircases inside in New York. Yeah, it was in the pitch dark as well.
Yeah.
But sitting in Times Square that night in the dark.
It was weird, wasn't it?
Amazing night.
It was kind of everyone was kind of fairly nice.
Yeah.
You know, there was a bit of a party atmosphere.
Yeah,
wasn't
definitely. Till the looting started.
We didn't see any looting. Did we?
No, we saw one guy on a bike who was trying to rile people up to do it, and then the cops arrested him. I remember that. The only place that stayed open was McDonald's. Do you remember? They were selling salads out the door.
Yeah.
That's the only place that stayed open.
Ronald is a tough taskmaster, isn't he?
Crazy. That was a crazy night. Good memories. They didn't trigger the end of the world.
Because had we been to the Statue of Liberty?
We had. We took the subway down
and everything
to the
was
Statue of
fine.
Liberty. Yeah.
And so we'd been over around there and Ellis Island, hadn't we, for most of the day?
Yeah.
And then we got back.
Yeah.
And we were like, what the fuck's happened here?
Yeah, everybody's running up the street.
Why is it so busy? And it turned out.
It was only 2 years after 9/11 as well, so people were panicking a little bit. But we ended up having to walk the whole length of Manhattan. Do you remember? We walked from the Statue of Liberty to Central Park to get back. No cash machines, no nothing. That was crazy. What a crazy day. But it didn't trigger the start of the end of the world. So.
No, it didn't.
That had already triggered by that point. If you want to know more about our New York adventures, come and join the Discord.
Cool Runnings.
Cool Runnings?
It's 30
Cool
years.
Runnings.
30 years old.
No, it is
It
not.
sure is.
Oh my goodness.
And the director, John Turteltaub, has recently done an interview with The Independent,
Okay.
looking back at the movie. I used to love that as a kid.
It was a great
I've not
movie.
seen it for so long.
Sometime,
I used to like. I bet it must be on Disney Plus. And quite interestingly, he has sort of reminisced of a story where he had to go into battle against Disney over the Jamaican accents in the movie.
Oh, really? It is on Disney Plus.
Because all the notes that he was getting back from the executives during sending the dailies back during this the process of making the movie was basically that they all sounded too Jamaican.
But it's about the Jamaican bobsled team.
I know. One of the stars, Juste Leon, says they wanted me to sound like a black Aladdin. They wanted a Disney version. We all wanted it to be authentic, and John, the director, was supportive of us. They said to us, people in Middle America won't be able to understand you. Yeah. Turteltaub himself said, I received a phone call from Jeffrey Katzenberg, the then Disney chairman, who said, if you can't get these accents to where I can understand them clearly, I'll find a director who can.
Wow. And you could argue that film's stood the test of time because of those accents.
Yeah. I'm sure they... And Turteltaub did say...
People still impersonate that film. I just did it now when you started talking about it.
Turteltaub says we did soften it a little bit, but we weren't doing what Disney wanted. I didn't want to go and tell them to all do an impression of Sebastian the Crab, is what he said.
It'd be amazing. It's amazing how out of touch some movie studio
all of that
directors
just
are,
sounds so... I know it's 30 years ago. I know 30 years is a long time.
That sort of thing still happens.
Yeah.
100%.
But it's like, it's just...
It's amazing.
It's amazing to hear that.
Yeah,
that's
it is.
Yeah.
Wow. That's a great story. How is Cool Runnings 30? But then again, last week, Lost was 20.
Was it?
Yeah, 20 years since the first episode of Lost last week.
But it was on for like 8 years, wasn't it? And that's a big portion of 20 years.
Yeah.
So to be fair.
Yeah, the pilot aired in September 2004.
Do you know
The Muffin Man?
Kevin Costner?
No, never met the guy.
Well, Kevin Costner has, I think, quite famously, sort of, he announced that he was departing Yellowstone, the sort of hit show that he's been on for the last few years, and his newest cinematic project has kind of been, I wouldn't say announced, but there's some news come out about it the last week or so. It's a Western.
Surprise.
It's called Horizon. Okay. And it's going to have an R rating, according to people associated with it. And that doesn't happen.
No.
You know,
very rare.
It's
rare some studios allow an R rating.
For reasons that it will include violence, nudity, and sexuality.
Okay.
Costner is involved in the project. Co-writer, producer, director, and lead actor.
We're not going to see Costner's Costner, are we?
Maybe. And he has signed up Jenna Malone, Sienna Miller, Sam Worthington, Luke Wilson, Michael Rooker, and Jamie Campbell Bower.
Wow. Good cast.
And wants to do 4 or 5 movies.
Oh, God. Everything has to be a franchise
on
these
this
days.
saga, Horizon, an American saga, which is essentially going to be...
a saga.
Tell the story of the American West's growth around the Civil War era.
Okay.
Would you like Kevin Costner's statement explaining the essence of the project?
Absolutely.
America's expansion into the West was one that was fraught with peril and intrigue, from the natural elements to the interactions with the indigenous peoples who lived on the land, and the determination and at many times ruthlessness of those who sought to settle. Horizon tells the story of that journey in an honest and forthcoming way, highlighting the points of view and consequences of the character's life and death decisions. What I want to know is, will it honestly talk about the genocide of the indigenous people of America? Let's find out. It may not, but that's just my
prediction would be no, but
view on that
you
one.
never know, do you?
I mean, look, he loves a historical epic. I like a Western. I don't know if I need a 5-movie saga about one.
I find Kevin Costner fascinating because I think he's one of the most famous people in the world. But
he was at one point he was the biggest movie star on the planet.
But you don't really ever hear from him. He doesn't make a lot of stuff, does he?
He's been doing stuff like this for
but he doesn't
20 years.
He doesn't do he's not always in films.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He picks and chooses what he does, but he's made himself very famous about it. Without it.
But you think in the late 80s, early 90s, he was Mr. Bankable.
Yeah,
he was
absolutely. He's always great as well.
Yeah,
sometimes he's great.
Still paying off Waterworld, probably.
I love Waterworld. I loved it at the time. I think it's great. It costs so much money that it could never make its money back. There's nothing wrong as a film. There's nothing wrong with it.
But that's what I mean. He was at that point. He could get anything made, and that's what he decided to do. That's ballsy. That is.
Yeah, that is true.
I'd make this movie. No land.
It's a really interesting concept. Surprising nobody's ever gone back to it. It's like there's a franchise there somewhere.
Well, it still has its theme park stunt shows, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Waterworld, people jumping off in swimming pools and all that sort of stuff.
I haven't watched Waterworld in ages. I might put it on the watch along.
It'd be a good watch along.
It would be a good watch along.
Yeah, I'll be up for that.
I'll do that.
Kevin Costner with gills.
Well, to be fair, whoever wins the wild card race this season gets to pick a watch along.
Yeah, that's true.
And that looks like it might be me.
All right, don't get cocky.
I'm already cocky.
All right, I don't think I remember us logging that this was happening news.
I did know it was happening. I don't know if we've talked about it on the show.
Is an update from Scott Derrickson.
Yeah.
On Labyrinth 2.
Okay.
Which I certainly didn't know Scott Derrickson was.
No, I didn't know he was involved, to be fair.
Well, he might not be anymore.
Okay.
Because he's been talking about his efforts to get Labyrinth 2 off the ground, which we actually talked about accidentally the other week.
Yeah, we did.
By saying Labyrinth should be a full-on musical.
Yeah.
That's not what they've been looking at. Derrickson has said that they've struggled to agree on a script, basically. He's written several versions of a script, but it's kind of got to the point where his vision and the studio's vision
too separated
are not really merging.
That's a shame.
He doesn't know what's going to happen with this in the future, basically.
Okay.
Derrickson says, we've not got the script all the way to the place where the studio wanted to make it. I am very proud of the work that we have done on it, and it is a hard project to turn into something commercially viable because it's so imaginative. My script's so good. And surreal that there's no way it can be done cheaply. At the same time, it's daring and different, but it's a tough movie for a studio to feel competent that it has enough commercial value to earn a profit. All I can tell you, again, I am very proud of the work we did on it. We certainly had a great film in mind. It's not his fault.
It's not my fault. I don't know.
I've written a great movie.
It's Labyrinth not... Don't you just leave Labyrinth where it is? It's such a unique film anyway. And I don't know if you just think that was such a moment in time. And it's such a great film.
I mean,
just
leave it alone. Doing a sequel especially has real Return to Oz vibes, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really does. People love that movie. It has a cult following. You're never going to satisfy everybody with it, so maybe just leave it alone.
It's no David Bowie.
Exactly, there's that as well. Can you do it without him? You can't do it with him unless you AI him. I play a mini golf game in VR.
Yeah.
And there's a Labyrinth style course.
Yeah.
It's themed on Labyrinth. And it's so good. Some of the courses are upside down.
Oh,
so
amazing.
you have to hit the ball along the ceiling and things. It's so good. So I feel like I'm connected to Labyrinth because I've walked around it recently in VR. Next.
In other news about movies that might not be happening.
Okay.
Dan Harmon has been talking, the creator of Rick and Morty and Community. And he's got logistical worries.
Yeah.
And
movies like this are in big trouble.
yeah. And it sounds so obvious.
Yeah.
But essentially, he's really concerned that the Community movie is at risk because they worked so hard to carve out time in everyone's calendar, and the actors' strike might have done for this one, I'm afraid.
Sounds like it.
And he's just sort of said, I think it feels like he might be trying to soften the blow that this might not now be happening soon, because getting the 6-7 main characters' calendars aligned to film this might now be very difficult.
Yeah, they're all super famous people. That's the sort of thing that happens during strikes. These strikes are going to fuck up ensemble movies because it is so difficult to get everybody in the right place at the right time.
Yeah. He said they were trying to film it in Atlanta because that's where Donald Glover's based.
Yeah.
He's the most difficult one to nail down.
The most famous one.
So everyone was going to travel to him, essentially, is what Harmon said. He was talking to the Hollywood Reporter. He said, by the time we can re-coordinate, what are the odds that everyone's schedule is going to align again? I honestly don't know. He said, one option is I could just film it with Donald. It'll just be an episode of Atlanta. So, one extreme to the other, because Donald Glover was the one we didn't know would be able to find the time for this. And now he might be the only one in it. So that's going to develop as the strike comes to a close, I would suggest.
If and when it comes to a close.
Yes. Yeah.
We don't seem to be much further forward on that one.
Okay, final bit of news.
Okay.
Would you like to watch a movie called Night Bitch?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I say to myself every night when I look in the mirror. Night bitch.
Well, I think once I give you the synopsis of this, your interest will be piqued even more. I'm not sure how we've not sort of noticed this one being in production, or again was in production before the shutdown. Amy Adams.
I love Amy Adams.
Going to star in Night Bitch, the story of a once ambitious stay-at-home mother who becomes convinced she is turning into a dog after discovering a tuft of fur on her neck.
Oh my, wow. That sounds awesome.
It is a comedic psychological thriller. Which is being produced by Annapurna Pictures.
Oh, they always make good stuff.
Yeah. Based on a novel.
Okay.
Amy Adams will star and produce.
Remember the kids' TV show from when we were young that was about a boy that turned into
Woof.
a dog? Woof. That was it. Great show.
Apparently, Fox Searchlight Pictures acquired the film rights for this one, outbidding 5 other studios. They paid $25 million for it.
Wow.
So this will resume filming once the strike is back underway. That sounds awesome.
It does sound awesome. I imagine that's going to have some sort of batshit ending to it.
Yeah.
Awesome. We'll keep our eye on that one. Keep that one in the algorithm, Nick.
Definitely. Night Bitch.
Night Bitch.
That's all the news.
That's how we should end the episode.
Yeah.
That's all the news. Have you watched anything good at the top of the stream?
I've watched all of Sex Education.
Okay. I've watched 3 episodes of it so far.
Yep.
And I'm struggling. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, I got to say, we just ploughed through.
Yeah, that's what I need to do.
I feel a little bit like I was missold Sex Education.
Okay.
Like, Dan Levy's in the first 2 episodes, and then you never see him again.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's in like one scene in either the penultimate or the final episode.
Wow.
I was like, I thought this guy was like a major
I
character.
did as well.
in
That's
this
how
thing.
they sold it.
It's got some really good moments.
Yeah.
I would say. I think you certainly. I would be surprised if you come away from it thinking, man, that was a memorable last episode of this show that I've really enjoyed over the last 5 years. The penultimate episode is a better last episode than the last episode.
Oh, really?
And I would be interested to see what people think of that. But
Okay.
I kind of watched the penultimate episode. I was like, I'm quite happy with that as an ending.
Yeah.
Knowing there was another episode after
Yeah.
it. And then the last episode was was shonky as
Really?
Yeah, it wasn't a great goodbye to everyone, and look,
Interesting.
the whole just sort of shifting it to a new college it didn't work for me.
It didn't work. It isn't working for me because I finished an episode the other night and I've got time left and I was like, I don't want to watch another one. I'm not interested.
Yeah.
So it's taken me a while to just find I'm enjoying them when I'm watching them.
Yeah.
But I'm not drawing myself into, I'm going to need to go and watch Sex Education.
I think considering how many characters it's lost.
Which they don't even really mention.
No, they don't.
They literally just don't even mention the fact that these people are not there anymore.
But I think even considering the amount of characters they've lost, some characters are woefully underserved.
Yeah.
Especially, and let's put the new ones aside. Let's just move them away for a minute. Core characters who have been in this the whole way through, I'm almost like you didn't need to come back because I'm thinking of Adam.
Yeah.
That character is just, and for me, I think his story was awful. This series, it was not interesting.
Just there because he needed to be there, basically.
He never interacted with anyone else.
I've noticed that in the first three that he's not really interacting with anybody, so he doesn't all the way through.
I think he has like a couple of scenes with Eric, and that's it. And it's like I don't know if there was some of like again, was it a scheduling thing? Was there a bit of the Netflix Arrested Development thing when they've made a new series, but actually they were barely in the same room at the same time because of other stuff? This should have ended in season 3.
It definitely should. I really dislike what they've done to Gillian Anderson's character.
Yeah,
I think
she's not the same character.
It's not. She was a strong, independent woman, and now she's a blithering idiot of a mum.
Otis is not I don't think he's a nice character in this.
I don't think he has been for the last couple of series.
But in this one, I actually like, no, you're a shithead.
You're just a dick.
Yeah,
I've been thinking the same. So I will get through it, but at the minute, I'm not recommending it to people at the minute.
Oh, it's tough, isn't it? Netflix offers you those big bucks.
Yeah,
it's hard to say no.
Absolutely.
And then my wife and I have started to watch Manifest.
Okay, my brother's favourite show. That.
Yeah, and we talked about it a bit on this show because it's usually riding high in the Netflix charts, but we've had this weird
it's been on like 4 different
quirk
streaming services
in this country where it's never been on Netflix apart from the final season, which is the Netflix funded season, where it's now all there. And thought we'd give it a go. Watched 3 episodes.
Yep,
it's all right. Yeah, it's still very early, so I'm not.
I did the first series when it came out. I never went back after that.
It's soapier than I expected.
Yeah.
As in, it's not as glossy. And does that make sense?
Yeah, that does make sense.
Yeah.
I will
it's
get
more
to
throwaway than I was expecting.
I will get to it at one point in my life and binge through the whole thing. But yeah, I never went back after the first season. I don't know why. I just never did.
So yeah, very early days, but I'm sure I'll watch a few more.
And apparently it goes absolutely batshit crazy.
Yeah, sure.
So be prepared for that.
Okay.
Anything else?
I think that's it.
Okay.
How about you?
I've not watched a lot of TV this week, but I have watched a few things. So I went to the cinema last Friday, as I mentioned, I think last week on the show.
You were going to go, yeah.
I went to see Saw X.
Oh, yes. How was it?
The 10th instalment of the Jigsaw franchise.
One of your favourite franchises?
Yeah, it is one of my favourite franchises. And I think this film has been made for those people.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to pick up many casual fans. It's Saw, but different.
Okay.
So it has a story. There's an actual film there.
It's Saw like 2.5, isn't it? Or something like that. Or 1.5.
There's a Lionsgate, who make the film, claim that it sits between Saw 1 and 2.
Yeah.
I argue that there's a post-credit scene that doesn't allow that to be true.
Okay, fine.
That's my argument. If that's where that film sits, then it doesn't work for me. I think it sits before 1, but after Amanda's bear trap.
Right.
Which it is before 1. But personally, that's where I think it goes. But they say it goes between 1 and 2, so they should know it better than I do. But it's Saw with a story. There's a storyline there. You find out why he's doing what he's doing to these people. You actually see what they're guilty of, which you've never really done before. It's always like, take Jigsaw's word for it, these are bad people in this trap. But you actually see what these people have done. And it changes the dynamic a little bit. It does make you sympathise with Jigsaw a little bit more. Tobin Bell's in this film, which is great, because he's never really been in any of the Saw films. So he gets to do some acting. He's 81 years old, Tobin Bell.
Yeah. that figures.
He goes into I don't want to give any spoilers away, but he's in a trap of his own at one point.
Right.
And he genuinely did what they do in this trap to him. And I'm like, for an 81-year-old, that's incredible.
Oh,
That's incredible. It does go, for me, it goes a little bit too far, even for a Saw film, because as a kid ends up in a trap at one point.
Right.
And I'm like, that's a bit much for me.
Yeah.
Didn't really need to happen, I don't think. I see why they've done it. It fits with the story. But I'm like, putting a kid in a Saw trap's a bit weird. But this kid genuinely did this thing as well. Off air, I'll tell you what it was, but I don't want to give any spoilers away.
Were you satisfied?
Yeah, I think so. I don't think it's an end.
Okay. I don't think it's intended to be, is it?
I don't think it is intended to be.
I think they want to relaunch.
Like I said, Tobey Maguire's 81. He can't go forever. And there's not enough room in the timeline to keep...
No, they must have filled in most of the gaps.
Yeah,
surely.
there's not many gaps left now. So, I don't know. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I thought it was really good.
Okay.
The two people I went with weren't as convinced. So, whether it's picking up... But then they've both seen all of them as well. So, maybe it's just me. Maybe I just love that franchise.
Maybe.
It is stupidly gory, though. Then I watched The Wonderful World of Henry Sugar. The Wonderful Story of Henry... I keep calling it World. The Wonderful Story of Henry Sugar.
I think I'm going to get to these this weekend.
You should do.
And just before you talk about it...
Yeah.
I think this seems to have been a real surprise.
Yes, I think so.
But we knew this was coming, and Wes Anderson was doing this Roald Dahl short adaptation of this short story, and we knew it was only going to be 45 minutes long. That's all come out.
We talked about it on the show quite a few times.
But at the same time, also dropped another 3 short movies, directed by Wes Anderson, based on Roald Dahl stories.
And they've all got the same cast.
Yeah. All only 15 minutes long.
Yeah.
Which come out of the same story collection.
Yeah.
And as far as I'm aware...
We weren't aware that was happening.
We look at a lot of news.
Yeah.
We didn't know that was going to happen.
Right.
That's pretty cool.
I think Netflix have kept that a secret. I'm not 100% sure whether they've not released it as an anthology.
So if you put them all together, you've got about 80 minutes of movie.
Well, the wonderful story of Henry Sugar is 39 minutes long, which I think is intentional because the Academy recognise a feature film at 40 minutes.
Okay.
So a short is 39 minutes. So I think he's intentionally done that. And then the other 3 are all 17 minutes long.
Yeah.
So you've got an hour between the 3. So you're talking an hour and 40 minutes.
Yeah.
I'm not sure why they've not just released it as one anthology.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think they're going for short story Oscars, maybe.
Possibly,
the cynic in me is thinking, let's try and get some Oscar nominations here. But it would be thoroughly deserved, in my opinion.
You enjoyed it? I'm going to try and watch it this week.
I've only seen 2 of them, so I've got 2 more to do. I watched The Wonderful Story of Henry Sugar, which is 39 minutes long, as I've just said. It's word for word the story. Okay. So basically, you're just seeing the story played out in front of you as somebody's... It's so high tempo, though, as always Anderson things are. Yeah. The scenery changes. There's a bloke in a cap who just changes all the scenery. He's on the screen. It's great. Right. But I think Poison, the other one I watched, was better.
Okay.
Personally, in my opinion, I really like that story. It's about a guy who wakes...
Were you familiar with these stories?
I've probably read them at some point in my life, but I wouldn't say I was familiar with them. It's about a guy who wakes up. His friend comes home. He lives with his friend. Friend comes home, and the guy's like lying still as anything in bed because he believes there's a snake on his chest, and he can't move because if he moves, the snake will bite him, and that will kill him. And so for this whole story, it's Benedict Cumberbatch. He's lying in this bed, paralyzed because there's a snake on him and he can't move.
Sure. And
so Ben Kingsley comes back, sees the doctor, and Dev Patel's the friend, and they're all running around telling this story, and it's really good. What's the guy who plays Roald Dahl's name?
I don't know. I've not watched it.
Ralph Fiennes plays. He plays Roald Dahl.
Yeah. In
both of these, they've actually filmed it. I don't know if it's filmed in the actual, because I know that shed that Roald Dahl used to write his books in still exists.
Okay.
But if it's not, it's an exact replica of Roald Dahl's old shed, and he's dressed like Roald Dahl. He looks just like him, and he starts off telling the story, and then it cuts into the film.
Got you.
And I thought both of the 2 I've watched, I thought were really good. But completely unique, not like anything I've ever seen before. It's literally just, it's like watching an audiobook. Somebody's telling you the story whilst also acting out the story.
Brilliant.
It's great. Yeah, I thought they were both great. I'd really recommend both of them.
Awesome.
I am going to watch the other 2 at some point. All right, we've somehow managed to do nearly an hour on the wave, and we've not even done real talk. So I think we should we talk about this week's film?
Let's do that.
This week's film.
We'll get out of here.
Then we'll get out of here. So this week's we're going to watch a movie on Thursday called Hellhole.
Yes.
And it's a Polish movie. Horror movie.
Yeah.
Obviously, with a title like that.
It's a romantic comedy.
Came out last year. It's I thought it was going to be like a possession-style exorcism movie, but it's not really that.
Well, I don't want to give too much away. I think I might say this on the episode as well, but we don't say this very often. I think you want to go into this unspoiled.
Yeah, maybe.
Personally.
Yeah, maybe.
Because obviously we'll talk about this movie Hellhole on Thursday, and we'll just go right in there.
Yeah, as we always do.
My, if you were interested in this movie, I would say watch it before you listen to
it, which you should do anyway. That's the point of the show. Yeah. We're not here to give spoilers to it.
That's what we do.
I know
we don't. We should try and do that once. Let's record an
episode without watching it
before we watch the movie.
That's not a bad idea. I like that idea. Yeah, that's what you should do. We should be doing anyway. But we understand a lot of people don't, and they just listen to us talk about it. But yeah, I would agree.
It's quite twisty turny, isn't it?
It is.
Everything is not. I know. Everything is not as it seems. It's like quite a catch-all synopsis line, but I do think it applies to this movie.
Yeah, I agree, and yeah, it's a different one. It's not what I was expecting. So
yeah, that is fair to say.
Come back on Thursday to listen to us talk about Hellhole. And I think that's it. I think we've done a wave.
Yeah.
Happy with it?
I really enjoyed it.
Me too. I've had a great time.
Just happy to be here.
So let's get out of here and we'll record the movie show. So come back on Thursday.
Cheers.
Bye.